Good morning, members of the commission. My name's John Boyd.
I just wanted to make sure everybody can see me.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name's John Boyd. The previous speaker was actually speaking about one of the bills that I have been working on, as well with Representative Poulos, who's actually my former Spanish teacher back in the day, as well. But we are working on a K-12 ASL bill that I've been speaking with the Department of Education on. The bill would basically be a 3-year pilot program, state-funded, 30 districts over essentially a 3-year period. Why 3 years? So then the students have the opportunity to earn the seal of biliteracy on their degree. The estimated run on it is about $42 million. Reason why it's that high is hopefully the state would potentially pick up the pension costs if there is multiple teachers in multiple districts. Obviously, I don't need to explain why this is important to members of this commission. I think because we have a shortage of interpreters, it's a way to also help fulfill the governor's workforce development goals as well, I think, long-term. I've spoken with many superintendents about this proposal, and obviously I look forward to any dialogue with members of this commission so then we can all work together to hopefully push this forward next session. I'll also say that I'm half deaf myself, so it's wonderful to be back in the building and back around this table. Thank you.
This is Mary Sue. First of all, I would love to see sign language classes being offered in the schools, because the earlier we start, the better chance we have of actually getting them language proficient before they start getting into interpreting programs. And anybody who has worked in interpreting programs knows that's the biggest part of the problem, is they come in and they don't even have the language yet. So this would be a great kind of way to start that pipeline. My biggest concern, and I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I think all of us will agree that the biggest concern is that very often in public schools, they're going to require that the teacher has to be a certified teacher. And that thereby means that most of those teachers are going to be hearing, they are not going to be natively fluent in the language, and what they are teaching is not ASL. They are teaching a hybrid. And so these students may be getting an introduction, but by the time they get to a program, they have to be retaught. It has to be explained to them that what they learned was not American Sign Language, but a form of signed English. And so my thing is, I would like to see maybe the Connecticut Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf possibly be involved in helping to, and definitely Connecticut Association of the Deaf, in helping to spell out in the language that these people who are going to be teaching these classes need to be fluent users of the language and not somebody who just knows sign language. And that the fact that they have the teaching certificate for whatever their other field might be, that does not mean that they are qualified to be teaching ASL.
It's John. Through you, Madam Chair, can I respond? Mary Sue, to your point, I have spoken with superintendents, members of CASP as well about that. I understand. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Representative Poulos, I think 024 is world language, or 042. We're going to try to work to get the minimum teaching credentials, even if it's, a long-term subcontract or something along those lines. So I'm, once again, more than willing to engage in discussions and try to find a compromise as much as we can.
This is Louisa. Thank you. As president of Connecticut Association for the Deaf, I get many phone calls from deaf people in the community complaining that the teachers in the high school, I hear about a number of different areas, it's not just one, have taken some kind of basic ASL course and then are teaching it to high school students, which we find terrible. We are seeking a bill that would allow ASL to, we had a bill that would seek to have ASL accepted as a world language many years ago. And I did speak with the State Department to find out if we were able to find qualified teachers, those teachers would be world language certified. Could a deaf person come along who is not yet certified, but can be the consultant on the language details? So you would have both a certified teacher as well as a co-teacher of a native language user. And the Department of Education at that time hadn't responded, and it didn't move along. I do feel it is time to make absolutely sure that our children receive an appropriate ASL education, because I have often come across young people who have made up signs or have habituated mistakes in how ASL signs are formed or how they are used. The grammar was not taught to them either. People who have done that up until now have not had the appropriate background. As you were saying, someone who teaches Spanish knows not only the pedagogy, but the context. So thank you.
This is Representative Chris Poulos. Two comments. One, I have to say that in recent years, I've had two students take proficiency exams, the SLPI exam, to qualify for eligibility for the Seal of Biliteracy. I'm proud that we've done that in our school. We've made that available to the students who study American Sign Language outside of our school. We don't offer a program. In terms of availability of certified American Sign Language teachers, a recommendation, if there is a demand, a recommendation I would have is to, and I can help with this, is to make an alternate route to certification slot for American Sign Language. What that does is it gives people who have the skill, who are proficient in American Sign Language, but may not have attended a teacher preparation program, have an avenue to become certified rather quickly. Although the state higher education department runs the alternate route to certification, and only if there's a demand for these instructors will they put that into place, make that an option to pursue certification. And so it might be something added into the language of the pilot bill for the next session, that in order to ensure we have the workforce to implement the pilot and beyond, we're going to make provisions to certify people that have American Sign Language, they speak it as their first language at home, have a way to become certified and give back to that field. So that would just be, and I'll work with John on that, or whoever, if we need to do that next session. Thank you.
Chair Casson recognizes Sandy. This is Sandra Nzinga. I teach ASL at Southern Connecticut University. And as we have new students who are coming in who have taken 2 or 3 years of ASL in high school, they asked to be assessed as to what their proficiency level is as they enter, to see if they might get credit for previous experience. The proficiency is not just in production, not just in sign vocabulary, but in also understanding a message that is rendered to them. So those are two very different skills, expressive and receptive. It's different parts of the brain to see and understand someone else's production of sign language. Many of those students who come with a large list of vocabulary, I know the signs, they say, but the skill in language is not there yet for them. They have not yet applied proper grammar and syntax of ASL. Most of the time, they might waive the first ASL class, the introduction to ASL, based on their vocabulary understanding, because that is the basics of categories and spelling. But they never get to ASL 2 or 3 because of their proficiency shown. So I just wanted to add that as a different perspective of what types of skills are currently seen in Connecticut. Barbara Casson says, thank you, Sandy. Are there further comments? Keith Vinci?
Yeah, this is Keith Vinci. I just wanted to say that there's lots of charlatans out there. There's a lot of people who say that they know how to sign, and they've convinced a lot of Board of Education programs that they're able to teach sign language in those classes. And as Lisa said and as Sandy said, when the kids get out of the programs, you don't know what language they're signing. So I just whatever program is initiated, a terrific screening operation needs to be made so that the persons who profess to be teaching sign or whatever are actually who they say they are. That's all.
This is Barbara Casson. Any further comments?
This is Lisa Flaherty-Vaughn. I just have a question. For Sandy specifically, which do you think, are you saying who should hold that role as a teacher for these courses? Should it be a deaf person or a hearing person?
Sandy and Zinga, I would always support deaf people teaching ASL because it is their native language. It also depends in part on other things. If one has grown up using ASL, if they are in a family who they were able to acquire ASL naturally through family use, that's especially beneficial. I wouldn't say it must be a deaf or hearing person, but I would look first at the competency. Barbara Kesson says, thank you.
Just a quick comment. This is tied to the workforce endeavor under the governor's push. And we all know that deaf individuals have the highest unemployment rate. So it's the perfect opportunity to get them a job. And they're the most qualified.